So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the power of focus. It's probably nothing you haven't heard before, but maybe in the way that I say it, it'll help you be more focused and more productive. Stay tuned.
You are listening to The Leadersmith, Darren Gerdes.
Okay, so in this episode, I want to talk about the power of focus. I had this really interesting conversation with a colleague just yesterday, and so it's all still in my mind. We were talking about focus and why people aren't productive like they want to be. Like everybody wants to be productive. Everyone wants to get more things done. You want to get more things done, but you also want to get the right things done, and that's what's important. And really, COVID has thrown everybody for a loop. I know that last year I was very derailed from things that I would otherwise have done because I had this extra responsibility that, to deal with people who had tech issues. And so when we went virtual, I mean, all my time was focused on that. I went like weeks without stopping before we got back to kind of a normal where I could maintain a regular lifestyle again. Okay, so things like that happen. But if you're still in that place this far after COVID, something went wrong. And I know I'm not talking about like if you own a small business and you're struggling to hang on. No, your focus needs to be hanging on to that business. I mean, if you're still kind of off, and we all feel awful. COVID has been just this like lasting kind of dark cloud over us, but we have to be able to focus. Now, since that time, I've been hyper productive. I've shifted gears and I've been able to get things done. This is episode, I think, 137 of the podcast that I started this past May. Okay, so I've been able to get things done. I've written more articles this year than probably any other year since I've been here at CSU, and so I've gotten a lot accomplished because I've been intentionally focused. But you have to be intentional about it. It reminded me of what as we were talking yesterday, I was thinking of Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's a professor in the University of Toronto, and he said something. Well, I'll see if I can quote it. A huge part of the reason that people fail is that they don't ever set up the criteria for success. And so, since success is a very narrow line and very unlikely, the probability that you're going to stumble on it randomly is zero. So what he's saying is if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you're not going to get there because the odds that you're just going to fluke into being successful are very, very small. Okay, he continues. And so there is a proposition here, and the proposition is if you actually want something, you can have it. Now the question will be, well, what do you mean by actually want? And the answer is that you reorient your life in every possible way to make the probability that this will occur as certain as possible. That means if you want something, if you want it badly enough, you can go after it and you can probably get it. Now, I'm not talking about playing in the NBA when you're 47 and only 6 foot tall like me. I just mean if you have a realistic goal that you want to go after and you want to pursue it, go pursue that thing, but you have to pursue it wholeheartedly. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve it. So I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking about like Napoleon Hill. When you focus, you have to do things differently. So you have to stop doing some things like spending that time relaxing in front of the TV if you want to spend that extra time putting those extra emphasis into getting that work done, right? Do more of what's meaningful and less of what's not meaningful. And that's what essentially you have to do. You have to focus on that thing. So first, what is that thing that's most important? Now, if you just think in terms of a year, if this year in 2021, if you do that thing that's most important, right, what will it bring you? If you have a hard enough why, you can figure out the how. Now, that thing should dovetail into a long-term focus, right? So you don't want to do this thing one year, this thing another year, and something completely different a different year. You want to build incrementally so that you're leveraging. What I mean by that is, so Warren Buffett talks about, how he learns about stocks and how he understands it and how he parlays his fortune on top of itself, on top of itself, on top of itself is going all the same direction. He's not investing one way now and then he's going to go and try a technical route another time and maybe I'll go back to value and maybe we'll try this new harebrained thing. He's not doing that. He's staying on one thing that's going to build and parlay, and you need to do the same thing. What is it this year that if you do will bring you the greatest results in your life? Now, that may be keeping your business open, right? I mean, this is a tough year. It may be just holding it together with your family. That's okay. As long as you keep working towards something progressively, it doesn't matter what the it is. But once you know the it, you have to pursue it. And you have to pursue it like a hungry dog who hasn't eaten, who's searching for that next meal. Okay. So it could be, again, professional or personal. If it's professional, maybe it's focusing on major accounts. Okay. And now think about the 80/20 rule. The 80/20 rule says 80% of your dividends, 80% of your benefits, what you're going to get out of it comes from only 20% of your effort, because not everything is equal. Spending time, let's say you're a salesman, in front of in front of your client is going to pay you a whole lot more than going to a meeting that, you're just talking about procedures and things like that, or filling up gas in your tank, or watching TV, right? 20% of your time is really going to give you the lion's share of your results. So do more of that and do less of those things that you don't really need to do. Cut them out if it's humanly possible to cut out those things that you ought not do. There's a great line by Peter Drucker where he talks about exactly this. And this is the quotation for contemplation for today. I know it's early. I'm going to say a few other things, but I want you to understand this. It's very, very important. There is nothing, Drucker says, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So you need to stop doing some things in order to start doing or to do more of what it is that you're supposed to do. So one, you have to understand my goal this year, in Napoleon Hill's term, my definite major purpose. And he said that definite major purpose, right? So this is the thing that I'm going to pursue. It's not going to change next week. It's not going to, maybe I'd like to do it. No, this is the thing that I've committed to. Okay, what is that thing? If you have that in your head, now start thinking about your activities. If your activities are such that they're taking you away from it, if they're not building toward it, if they're not directly adding to it, try to trim those activities out. Because again, as Peter Drucker said, there's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So I want to give you one more analogy to help you understand this. When you put on a light bulb, the light bulb shines brightly and it illuminates the room. If you get a 40 watt, you can see. If you get 120 watt, you can see everything very brightly. And what we try to do too often is we try to be more like, oh, I'm going to be instead of a 40 or a 60 or a 75 watt bulb, I'm going to be a 120 watt bulb. And you try to do too much. But you only have so much capacity, and doing so much isn't going to get the effect of, say, a laser. Now, a laser can cut through steel. It's the same beams of light. It's just magnified and focused so much that it can cut through steel. That's where you want to be. That's how clear and focused you want to be on your definite major purpose, as Hill calls it, okay, or your 20%. You want to be so focused on that you're going to cut through steel. You don't want to be diffused all over the room. You want to be narrowly focused. Now, that means that you're going to have some decisions to make. And here are the decisions. You're going to have to decide what to cut out. Let's talk about priorities for just a moment. If you have a priority, it's number one. If you have other priorities, you don't have a priority. You have maybe some priorities. Few. Let's say you have 3 priorities. Okay, these are the top few things that you're going after, but you shouldn't be having 12 priorities, because if you have a dozen or 20 or however many priorities, you have none at all. If you have a priority, you must, by definition, if there's more than one, have a posteriority. That means that you have something that is not going to happen. So what is it that has to happen? Stick to that. Do that thing. Do nothing but that thing to the degree that you can help it. Yes, you have to eat. Yes, you have to sleep. You have to fill up your gas tank. I get that. Those things have to happen. But everything else that's discretionary needs to be taken away from discretionary time and put squarely on your priority. If you do that, you will be focused like a laser. And that's what you need to do in order to succeed. Hey, listen, I want to say the Drucker quote one more time because I think it's really, really important. Okay? He said this: there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done. Don't do things that don't need to be done. Just spend your time focus like a laser on the thing that's going to bring you the greatest results, and you're going to have a great 2021. Thank you for your time, and I hope that helps you become the kind of leader that you will want to follow.